So the reason we wanted you guys on the show today is to talk about BRICS, because I've seen on my status, people are getting excited. I saw someone saying, hey, please don't judge me when I buy a Lamborghini next year.
Way ahead of themselves.
Way ahead.
So Samkele, please tell us, man, why the fascination about BRICS now? Because it's been around for about 17 years, right? Yeah.
Look, the fascination about BRICS currently is that there is a need for an alternative. If you look at the current payment systems and financial systems across the world, they're largely controlled by the Western countries, and in particular the United States of America. You look at the SWIFT system and how it's left the people of Russia down and out. And for the first 2 months, Russia struggled. But today, if you go to Russia, those Russians are telling you that we need to make this work and we need to make it work for ourselves. We need to create an alternative, which is pretty much something that was pushed by Lula da Silva, the president of Brazil, something pushed by Vladimir Putin, something pushed by also China. You look at the payment systems in China and how China has revolutionized the payment system, particularly using your phone, where you can go and purchase a lot of things using a similar social network.
Slow down. It's a podcast. It's talking like it's on radio. There's 5 minutes to talk.
Reporting from the Central Convention Center. Some guy, we've got 2 minutes. You're going live. You're going live. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Good luck. Go. Breathe. Breathe. Have a sip of grandeur. Lay back.
Cheers.
Yeah.
We want to hear you, bro.
Yeah. Come on. We with the friends around the brand.
Well, I think to make it a little bit also simpler, you've got to kind of give Abantu like simple analogies for them to understand what is BRICS. BRICS are guys who and people and groupings of countries that were tired. Think of it in a school context. You were getting bullied by this group of guys. And those guys, because they were picking on you because you were singular, it was just you. You can't walk past those guys, and like all the time, you're getting hassled. So suddenly you decided, look, there's actually quite a lot of us who are undergoing the same sort of like discrimination, bullying, whatnot. Why don't we just walk past these bullies together? That's how it started. So 5 guys decided, let's just walk together. Common interest. We feel like we're not getting enough from this schooling environment. And it's petegagbi. So what can we do? We can band together. We have common interests, right? Not enemies, common interest. A lot of people think BRICS is about enemies. It's not. It's not anti-West. It's about common interest and strategic interests.
Love that.
Can you give us a breakdown, Samkele, from the inception of BRICS? Because if I stand to be correct, I think we're the last to enter. Which president was it and how did we get in the game?
It's something many people will never want to hear, especially those who are too embroiled in divisional politics. South Africa entered BRICS because entered BRICS in the tenure of former President Zuma. But Jay-Z.
Not Thabo Mbeki.
Not Thabo Mbeki. But Thabo Mbeki, through ECOWAS, was the man who planted the seed. Zuma entered us in, took us to a certain level. Then your man there in Venda decided to take it a step higher. So in simple terms, all 3 presidents have played a critical role 100%. And all of them deserve equal recognition. But to simplify our point even further on BRICS is an alternative to what we are also seeing within the South African media landscape. Hence, people don't want Samkelo Masego serious on TV. They want something chilled like this. Hence, you guys are also, in a way, you replicate in a media perspective what BRICS is also doing within the broader political and economic landscape globally. Anti-establishment.
Yes.
People are tired.
So we're BRICS.
Yes.
Where's the man? Where's the man? Where's the BRICS of
Eating. Christina, Faustina.
The Stina boys.
I get you. So can you simplify? I love the way you broke that down, man. Can you simplify the currency? So what's going on? Are we having a new currency? What's going on with that?
So maybe let me take the currency thing a little bit back. I'm adding on to what Usamkelo was saying. So money is very crucial. And in the 1970s, basically America said our money will not be pegged to a substance like gold, right? We're just going to go off vibes. So American dollars are vibes. It's based off branding. right? It's actually a brand because they say our military power, our interests across the globe, etc., allow them to print this money so that they can control things. Then the biggest thing that hits people outside of those that use the dollar as their currency, like America, etc., you get hit by something very simple, which is interest, my brother. If you have to understand how money is created in the system, money is created of nothing, it's created of interest. So what happens is that these guys can print money, but you have to work twice as hard to create the new money that was not existent even for them. So what you actually get is that you realize that the system is rigged. And that's why BRICS said, why do we have to trade with each other in a currency that we both don't own? And then you have to go to the petrodollar, which was basically the using dollars to buy the energy of the world, which is oil. Right? So they got all of the OPEC countries to accept dollars as the way of trade to buy crude oil. So BRICS again is asking themselves, Mara, this thing ain't sense, Buffett. Why do we have to use that guy's money to buy things between the two of us? When oil, I've got money of my own. So that's where currency became a necessity, right? And also the way of money moving around the planet was important. That's why some people are saying the SWIFT system, a lot of people don't even understand, but I'm sure you guys have done gigs elsewhere in Africa. So Fanelube a SWIFT number, right? Yeah. That number actually tracks imali going around globally. And it's Western owned. Right? They're tracking it in their way. And you actually can't move money without a SWIFT number. So that's why the BRICS guys said, we must have an alternative. Listen to this. We're not fighting what you have. We are saying there must be an alternative. And that's where the currency conversation is coming. And also, we want to finance our own things in our own currency, where the interest rate, we don't have to pay in your currency, which you deem to be more valuable than ours.
But let us thank Brother Leader for that. For instance, Muammar Gaddafi, when he was still alive.
Yes.
And the role of Libya. He came up with that. He came up with that African United States of Africa, and he came up with the African currency to trade amongst African countries, which also gives credence to the incumbent president, mind you, because he also, when he came on board, in one of his first interviews, he said, "Look, we need to look at the issue of the currency and the currency that we globally trade in." And his close relationships with the Crown Prince in Saudi Arabia, which is the biggest crude oil producer in the world, and today has signed pacts with China to trade in the Chinese currency when they trade amongst themselves with oil, and with 3 oil countries coming on board to BRICS, it tells you it's a new global order. It's a shift in geopolitical tectonic plates that are shifting towards the east rather from the west.
Are we talking about physical money, or is it just a concept, the currency? Or are we talking about like
the proposed one?
Yeah. Are we talking about like, are we going to have physical BRICS money? Or
So it might, there's a couple of suggestions on the table. One of them is that it could be bond notes, right? So bond notes is primarily just government bonds that go out there. Then whatever currency you have, that bond is backed by whatever currency you have. That would make it actually a little bit easier if they went that way, because then what that would mean is that BRICS would have a bond. So the bond would then be weighted across all of the countries that are in BRICS. So we would weight it ourselves. We don't need anyone else. So then we say, our bond is X this much. Ne? Then you, as the South African, would say, we need X amount of rands for one bond into that thing. So therefore, how many rands do we need to pay to get a bond or part of a bond to buy oil from another country, from another? So we need something that basically centers us to say, your money, my money, where do we value it and how do we value it? And that's one of the ways. Yeah.
But also that issue of the currency, and to simplify it on how each and every one of us, on all 54 million South Africans, can benefit from this particular BRICS, is if those 3 crude oil producing nations can trade directly with these specific nations, and in particular with South Africa, in order for petrol to be cheaper for you and I, to make it easier for us to go about our daily lives with the increasing cost of living throughout the country and the high escalating petrol prices that we are seeing day in and day out. So BRICS will not be meaningful if there is no material change and material benefit
so
to MacG and
the average guy.
Please break down how are we getting the petrol now? How does it work now?
The current system is that we are using global markets to trade and to get crude oil into the country.
So we go to Saudi Arabia. We say we want oil.
Yes.
Well,
But
not,
we
even,
have to-
not,
Not
even
even Saudi, not
We
even
go to
Saudi.
global-
We
we
go
to
to global markets.
and they reside in global centers of power. So imagine the even in another sort of I would say understanding. The platinum that is taken here from Roba Fugeng goes to London, to the London Mineral Exchange, and people globally buy it from there.
What the fuck?
The United States of America globally has taken over the oils of many countries. You look at the oil. Nigeria is the biggest crude oil producer in the African continent, but Nigerians don't own that oil.
Yes.
It's like us with our gold. Our gold is extracted.
100%.
It leaves our shores.
It goes
Our
to a
platinum,
centralized market.
And then we have to buy it from them.
Yes, my
Exactly.
brother.
Oh,
The same. Angola has oil, gentlemen, right here. To share a pipeline from Angola straight through Namibia, Botswana, Izofika, Northern Cape is a simple exercise. I'm not even lying to you. Why can't we do that? It's because they say, no, you must sell this thing there first. I call it lapha, then is a bantuin.
Bullshit.
That's why BRICS is important, guys.
Okay, you say it's important, right?
Yeah.
But the average person is asking themselves, we've been a part of BRICS for a while. How has that benefited the men on the streets being part of BRICS thus far?
It has benefited the ordinary man on the street, particularly with the relationship China and South Africa has. China is South Africa's biggest
Number one.
market trader
Number one.
globally.
Is that thanks to BRICS? or that's
It's
just always
thanks
been
to
the case?
BRICS, because if you look at the relations over the past 15 years, the trade between South Africa and China has grown at about 200 or 300%.
It blew up.
It blew up. It comes from 19 million US dollars per annum, and today it's sitting at about 554 billion US dollars. And that tells you that South Africa's biggest trading partner globally is China. China's biggest trading partner within the African continent is South Africa. But also, China is our direct competitor with the gateway to the African continent. Africa's biggest trading partner amongst all African countries is none other than Mzansi. On the African continent, we are the biggest trading partner of all 54. Okay, well, there's Morocco as well now. 55 African countries. We're the biggest trading partner with our problems of electricity.
Yeah.